Superheroes speak a comic book dream, where legends are born and stories redeem. With Dejan and Dark Dawn, whom will we cast? A podcast that's here to make the past last.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And I'm Don.
Yes, unfortunately, John is not with us this week. As people know, we live in I live in Philly. He lives in the Philadelphia area, but he lives in the sticks, and it's been some severe.
BFE.
We've had some severe winter weather lately, and he lost power, so he was not able to join us tonight. We were going to reschedule, but he said he can't do tomorrow either, so we will soldier on as professionals without him, or whatever we are. So,
Yeah,
and I forgot to turn on Spidey. So,
can't do that.
nah, it's easy to turn on Spidey. You just play with his webs. Anyway,
Ah,
how are you, Don? How are you this week?
I had an okay week. Kind of a stomach bug going through the family, so that was kind of rough. But by the time the weekend came, we're pretty much over it. Had a good Star Wars Saga Edition tabletop role playing game group this week. Measured by the fact that like everyone messaged me afterwards, like, "Hey, that was great." Like, okay, cool. That's that's definitely the target there. So, yeah, it's a pretty good week. Pretty boring week, other than just being down with the sickness. But here we are. We got to see a movie, and I won't say any more. I'll just say, how was your week, Dave?
It was actually pretty good. Did you have a good Valentine's Day?
Meh.
Okay. Well, I did. I had a great Valentine's. We got a hotel room for the evening, which is always weird when you just get a hotel in your own neighborhood, but it was like
Oh, that's not weird.
we just wanted to get
Means.
away from our lives for a night,
Mm-hmm.
we just got some food, took it back to the hotel. Um and I'm not sure if they have it out your way. They probably do. You're familiar with Painting with a Twist, where you go
Huh?
and like there's an instructor and they
Yeah.
you do a painting, and they have like date night ones where it's a painting that's split in half. One does one half, the other uh
Oh, okay.
a couple does the other half of the painting, and they have like at home kits. So we got one of those and we did that. We just had a nice relaxing evening, and it was good. Um, you know, uh and yeah, I guess that's I mean, uh other than that, work was not it was busy but not as crazy as it's been. Um and actually I will say this, how you're ever get into situations at work where you're like, crap, I'm gonna get fired. you know, like like my boss is just pissed at me at this point, and there's no way that like I'm gonna get out of this unscathed. And I kind of felt I was in one of those boats, and then we had my one-on-one this week, and he's like, don't worry about any of that stuff. It's in the past. People make mistakes
Yeah.
and whatnot. And I was like, oh, good. So that made me feel good. So but yeah, and then I had something I wanted to share, because I realized I did it before and I haven't done it since. So I wanted to share some of my art that I've been working on. And if you follow me on social media, at Days WB, you've seen some of these already. But this was the Valentine's Day gift that I made for my girlfriend. Um, so that's me and her, and that was uh, that was kind of fun. And then this is one that I did a while ago, and I was going to share, but I haven't. Um, because this was a lesson in. I was following an instructional video. It's like on how to add depth to a painting. So this took a long time because it's many layers, and then it's the trees that are farther away. Then it's another layer of trees and
Yeah.
so forth. And then I decided to add the knight and the dragon on there, um, at the end, and I think it came out. It's like probably one of my favorite paintings I've done so far. So Um, so yeah, that's what keeps me busy. And then
Good for you.
I was going to share one, but I changed my mind. It's one I'm working on. It's not done yet. Uh, so yeah, that's the main thing I've been up to. Though I did have I heard that my two of my friends were telling me this story the other day, and I figured I'd share it with everyone. You know,
Mm.
um, this was John and not John. I'm sorry, Jim and Bob were at the bar, and Jim decided I'm going to go back to school. I never finished college. I'm going to go back to school and finish college. So went to the local school and he signed up and he's with the dean of admissions and he's like, "Oh, you're all set to go. Here are the classes for your first semester." And he goes, "It's math, science, history, and logic." And he goes, "Logic? What's that?" He goes, "Well, here I'll give you an example." He goes, "Do you own a lawnmower?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "All right. Well, I can deduce that since you own a lawnmower, you have a lawn." And he's like, "Well, yeah, okay. And if you have a lawn, then you own a house." He's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, I get it." And he goes, "And if you own a house, then most likely you have a family." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah. And if you have a family, then most likely you're married." He's like, "Yeah, I am. And I can deduce from that that if you're married, then most likely you're attracted to women." He's like, "Wow, you can deduce all of that just from the fact that I own a lawnmower?" He's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Oh, that's great." So a little while later, he's back at the bar with his friend Bob, and Bob goes, "Jim, how'd it go? Did you sign up for school?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm going to be taking math, science, history, and logic." He goes, "What's logic?" And he goes, "All right, let me ask you a question, Bob. Do you own a lawnmower?" And he goes, "No." "Ah, then you must be gay."
Oh, that's quite. Yeah.
And there is your inappropriate joke of the week. uh, let's see. Thrawn says, "Evening, gents. Adamantium rules while the Red Hulk rules." Oh, we will get into all of that. Um, Kasan, hello. My PS shirt is timely now that the Xbox chief has thrown in the towel. I did not see that. Um,
Yeah,
I don't think I.
yeah. I mean, he's got me on that one. I didn't think anything about that. I just, but that's cool. Absolutely, I'll take credit for that.
The oh yeah, you're wearing a play. He's not wearing a
Yeah,
PlayStation shirt. You are. Duh.
yeah.
Um,
We
yeah,
could have a
no,
whole
it's
show
funny.
on the console wars, by the way. But anyway, I digress.
No, it's funny because I haven't even thought about Xbox in a while because my I was always a PS guy and my son was always an Xbox person. And then like when the latest ones came out, he was like, "Let's just get a PS5 and then I play my stuff on the computer." Like it's like I'm not interested in the Xbox anymore. I was like, wow, it must
Yeah.
be getting bad.
Sure. Well, and there's that, and realize they're fighting for second place. Like Nintendo will always be king. They could have 18 consoles fail and still make money because of their success in Pokemon. So, and Nintendo is always focused on their console being more of a toy that you play and have fun with rather than PlayStation or Xbox, where like the AAA titles are like just glorified movies, basically. And
Yeah.
Xbox has no exclusives. Anything that goes on Xbox goes on the PC. So yeah, there's just no reason to own an Xbox. So to me, it was always a fight for second place.
Well, and
So
the one thing Microsoft did, which when they announced it, I'm like, "Oh, that's genius!" But they were putting themselves out of business, which a lot of companies do when they don't realize when they do stuff like this. Um, you can download an app on the computer that allows you to play Xbox games. So what do
yeah.
you need the console for anymore? You know?
Right. Well, and even beyond that, you can't have a console owned by a company that doesn't have its own first party software. Like they don't even have
Yeah.
like there's PlayStation games, there's PlayStation Studios and shit, or the subsidiaries of PlayStation Studios, make good games, have games for their systems. But Xbox, not only is it not just not exclusive, but it doesn't have any first party titles to be. I mean, it's just it's crazy. There's no
Yeah.
only time I've ever I own the first Xbox. I skipped the 360 because I went back to PlayStation. Always had a Nintendo. Like Nintendo's not always my favorite, but I always got a Nintendo. It's always got cool shit. So anyway, so yeah, did away with the 360. I bought an Xbox One because my other friends bought them, and I've been done with it since. I've been back to PlayStation.
Yeah, I could see it.
Which they need to bring back those 35th anniversary backgrounds and sounds and shit. Like I was digging that. I had my shit
I,
sound like a PS2. That was awesome.
I mean, my thing was, Sony had the rights to Spider-Man and the Spider-Man games, and that's like
Well, yeah, yeah,
once I
yeah.
started playing those, I'm like, yeah, I don't care about anything else. Um,
And they didn't fuck it up too, which is like, yeah, hell
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of Spider-Man, are you caught up on the show? Did you get to see the last couple episodes?
Yeah, I only had to watch one episode this week because I had already
Oh,
saw the
yeah,
fifth one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we got Scorpion. So that was interesting.
Which I mean, we knew was coming because we'd already seen Matt Gargan. They made him like that gang leader of the Scorpions,
Yeah.
and then you had Otto Octavius with all this tech, and then here we go. So we knew it was coming. Here it is, and it's cool. I mean, I'm here for it. Sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. It was interesting to see Norman being obsessed with Otto, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going with that storyline. It's going to be a showdown between the two of them at some point. Of course, we got the Green Goblin glider went to
Mhm.
save Spidey at one point, so it's like now he's working on something behind the scenes that we don't
Yeah.
know. So it's interesting. Uh, what did Kassan say here? I hope you guys talk about Invincible today. That show is great. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
And that's too bad because it really is fucking good. But listen, I lost a bet, so I was supposed to watch Creature Commandos, and I did. I don't know. We got people fucking corpses, so I'm like, he did okay. I didn't say I was gonna watch all of it. Just said I was gonna watch it. So we'll see.
Thrawn points out that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man's already renewed for season 3. So, this is why John is my favorite. Hey,
I thought John was your favorite, which I fully accepted. But because he's smarter than you. But.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Depends on your definition of smart.
Well, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I thought there was only going to be 8 episodes altogether. Apparently, I guess there's going to be 10 because episode 8 ends with him getting the red and blue costume, basically, and he has to go face Scorpion. So I don't know.
Which I'm looking forward to. So I've got to give it high marks for that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I want to see the next episode.
So I don't know where they're going with the last 2 episodes. Is it just going to be? Is it going to be where the season ends with a lot of bad crap? Like, does something happen to Lincoln where he becomes Tombstone, as we know from the comics? Does we get the rise of Green Goblin versus Octavius? Like, I feel like that's what's going to happen, and then boom, cliffhanger till season 2 comes out. So we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely think we're at least getting Green Goblin by the end of the season, for sure.
Uh-oh. I haven't been on the Discord in a while. Kassan says, check out the photos I put on the Discord.
Oh yeah, man, you gotta get on there.
I know. I'm
Sometimes
terrible.
I'm playing Marvels on there, so if you want to see me getting my ass kicked, I usually play a Vanguard, which is like the tank character. So usually it's between Magneto, Venom, and Captain America.
Yeah, well, you know what though? I will say this, John was the one that was a big advocate for Discord, and he almost never goes on.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. This doesn't make for good TV, but I'm looking at it now. I will look at these later, Kassan. All right. Well, you know what? We talked about Spider-Man. We gave an inappropriate joke. I think it's time, and it depends on how you feel,
Yeah, I'm good.
for Dark Dawn to give us some more information where you can find more Superhero Speak and other great podcasts. Let's just play the tape.
Okay. Good evening, plebeians. Darth Dawn here to tell you that Superhero Speak is not just a YouTube show. It is also a website. You will go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find all the social media links to the show, comic reviews by Chris, and most importantly, our merch. You will buy our merch. And while you are on the HoloNet, you must check out the rest of the Geek World All-Star Podcast Network, an influential conglomerate of podcast shows like the Pop Prism Power Podcast, Colt 45, That's So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, Twisted Mind of 8-Bit Ray and the Gorilla Brain podcast, and of course, the powerful Superhero Speak. Plug in hashtag GWAllstars, and you will not be disappointed. And if you do not comply with my request here tonight, I will torture you by making you watch The Acolyte, the one and only season, over and over again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a double feature to catch. They're showing Blade 2 and The Matrix Reloaded at the drive-in. Now, back to the show.
You guys are geeking out about Dragon Ball and toys in the chat there.
Why not?
And what was that? Batman Returns?
Yeah, remember those those little glass mugs
Yeah.
from McDonald's? Like, yeah, my wife came home with one the other day. I was like, oh, sweet.
She must love you.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose.
I will also tell you, if you've gotten this far in the podcast and you haven't done so yet, you know what you should be doing. You should be clicking on that subscribe button, clicking that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go here live on Sunday nights at 8:30. And you know what? If you like what we're doing, smash that like button, because it really does help with the algorithm, gets the podcast out there even more, so more people can find us. And it's a good thing to do. And if you're so inclined, go ahead and check out our merch store. The link is in the description below. Get yourself a Superhero Speak t-shirt. There are some of the best t-shirts you can buy on the internet. That is what everyone is saying, or at least that's what I've been told. All right. On that note, I think we'll take a very quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with some news.
Wow, the stinger!
Timmy, I'm from the Dream Come True Fantasy Contest. You ready to wrestle?
You bet! Mom! Dad, it's really him! Hold on! Okay, now I'm ready.
It looks so real.
Don't count on Sprite to do anything but quench your thirst.
Wanna go 2 out of 3?
All right. So this first article I included was really for John. As you guys know, that I worked with John at a company. That's how we met, and that's how the podcast got started. And when I met him, he not only was obsessed with dragons, he had dragon statues and art all over his cube. He had pictures of Toothless and stuff from How to Train Your Dragon. He is a giant How to Train Your Dragon fan. So I didn't realize the trailer had dropped this week until I went and saw Captain America, and it was one of the trailers that played before the show. So, do we want to talk about it, or do we want to wait till John's here?
I well,
Because
well, if you want to wait, we can. I do have a take, but we can wait for
no, go
John.
ahead. We'll I'll just ask him next week when
Um,
he's back.
okay,
So,
because I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I
go
think
ahead.
it
Go ahead.
looked great. I really
Yeah,
did. I thought it looked great. Is Gerard Butler playing Hiccup's dad again? I think he is, which I
yeah.
think is cool. If not, it's somebody that's impersonating him very, very well. So I like that. With all that said, I really don't feel this is needed. Like the dragons looked like they looked in the animated one to me. So, and I could
Yeah,
be dumb here. Please feel free to explain in the comments. Like, so I'm not quite sure what is accomplished by bringing this into live action, unless, of course, it's because whomever is in charge believes that there's an additional audience they can gain from it not being animated, which I get because my wife is that way. My wife, animated equals kids. So, she walks in the room and just, if you've ever seen disappointment, I mean, I've seen it before. Anyway, so with that said, I thought it looked great. I don't know, it's kind of spoiled for me already. Like the whole remake stuff is kind of getting ridiculous. And I don't
I
know.
I kind of feel like the original movie came out 15 years ago, and
Right.
there's definitely a thought process of the 8, 9, 10 year olds that saw that movie are now 25 and are more likely to go see a reboot live action movie. I mean, think about it. It could be on a first date with someone who also loved the movie as a kid, and so, oh, let's go see the live action one. I think that's
Yeah.
what when they do these, that's their thought process. Like, we're getting the kids who grew up loving this property to come. Um, because, like, yeah, they did a great job. It looks just like if looks and feels just like the cartoon, like
Hmm.
every detail, the dad with the broken horn on the helmet, and
Yeah.
like Toothless looks great, and all those things. And it's like, yeah, it's the cartoon brought to life. I agree. Like, I don't know who the audience is. I think my son might want to go see it because I believe he was 8 when the first one came out, and he did love those movies, so I'm gonna guess he probably wants to go see it. Um, so though Kassan has a good point. Um, bankrupt creativity, the concept of a cash grab, yes. I mean, of course. Um,
And I'm okay with that. Maybe it is a cash grab, but I personally have nothing against cash grabs if people give the cash. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason for cash grabs because they work.
yeah, yeah, they
Stops
do.
working, they stop happening. So,
Exactly.
ask Nintendo. You go on Nintendo if you haven't already got a Nintendo
No,
Switch. Go on their marketplace. See how many of their old fucking games that they haven't put a dime into for the last 20 years. How many millions of dollars they're making from that stuff still.
I mean, it's one of those things. I've said this over and over again. Like, um, people complain about the cost of stuff, and it's like, yeah, like comic book conventions are the best example. Like, where some celebrities charge hundreds of dollars for their signature now, and it's like, yeah, but if nobody went to that celebrity to buy one because it was so expensive, they would have to charge less or just not be there. But if people keep paying it, if people keep going to these movies, if keep it, they'll just keep doing it. So, yeah, I mean, if you have an issue with that kind of stuff, then just stop giving them your money, and
Yeah.
it eventually will go away. That's how the free market works. So,
Yeah, I mean, it truly, even for its simplest form, like I used to work with a lady, older lady, and people would want her to make chocolate cakes. And she just kept rising the price $50, $70, $80. and she's just like, it got to the point where I couldn't refuse $100 per cake. Like
Yeah.
people would just pay it. So yeah, it is what it is there.
So Thrawn says, "Doesn't the kid lose a hand like Luke?" No, he loses a foot, and Toothless is the dragon, and he's part of his tail is missing. So that's kind of what their bond is. Like he creates a special thing for Toothless so he can fly with the broken tail wing, and his peg for his leg fits into that um thing perfectly. So it's like he's like
Mhm.
locked into Toothless, and that's what creates their bond and their relationship. So it's a great story. It really is a great story when you think
Yeah.
about it. So I mean, I am also one of those where 2 and 3 are also cash grabs in my opinion. Like I think they could have just done the one and left
And
the two.
I never even watched those. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I no, we get it. We've tasted that already.
Um Son, that's why I didn't pay to watch Captain America 4. I read it with my wallet. Well, you are wrong. We'll get to that. Um So yeah, I it looks really good. I do think there's going to be an audience for it. So we shall see. Moving on, I saw this news and I was like, wait, they're really making this? Um, so Jeff Wadlow and James Watkins are in running to be the director for the DCU's Clayface movie. They're making a Clayface like what?
Yeah.
This is a DC problem, and I thought James Gunn was gonna like fix it, but apparently not. Nobody wants a Clayface movie. I'm sorry, like he's he's always been a B level or D level Batman villain. Um Evidenced by he was in Creature Commandos and was killed super fast. You know, I mean, yeah, he's Clayface, you can come back, but it was like no one was like, "Oh my god, they killed Clayface." It was like, "Oh,
Right.
okay." You know, like no one care why are they making a Clay it makes no sense. Why a Clayface movie? Um, so like let's worry about Brave and the Bold and see if Batman's good before we make another Joker too.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I feel like
Well,
that's where we're going.
I can understand their reasoning if somebody out there, wrote some sort of tragedy story with some sort of message and they're able to sell it and they see, oh well, Penguin did pretty good. No one asked for a penguin, and even on this show, we were like, Penguin, boy, Penguin. Well, here it is, and it was good writing. It was a good story, and so people dig it. So, I mean, is I can never really chide a move like this. Although I'm not interested, we do have these streaming services. We do have to fill them with
Okay,
content. So,
I I'll give you that. If they're just making a 2-hour movie to put on HBO Max, okay, fine. But if they're making this to put in the theater, like it just seems like a terrible move. You know, that's my opinion. I
yeah.
have no desire to see Clayface. You know, not a standalone, not another. Oh, here's a Batman villain story without Batman in it. Like,
Yeah, I
So
know. It really is a mystery, like why they're so deaf on like how much people really don't like the Batman adjacent shit. But but again, here I say that, and people do watch it. So I guess just we're a subset, I guess.
yeah, Thrawn pointed out there He-Man movie set pics floating around on X. I have seen a couple of those. I don't think I saw anything that confirmed them. I'm sure they're real, but I didn't see like an official news article where they talked about it. And they're definitely going for to look like the original cartoon look, not not redoing it, not trying to amp it up for the new generation or anything. Like they're going after us middle-aged men who grew up loving He-Man.
Yeah, and I don't get that because I was that person. I had all the toys, the fucking bed sheets, and the fucking curtains and shit. Like, and I don't care. Like I don't understand this like deep mining of the He-Man franchise. There's two shows out, the one that Kevin Smith that everybody eventually hated because they killed He-Man, brought him back, killed him again, some shit like that, if I remember. And then there was another one which I didn't even give. I know you were
Which
saying was
was
pretty good.
which was a new take on He-Man, and
Yeah.
it was actually like, okay, cool. This is reintroducing the character in a new way. He's still He-Man and uh, Prince Adam and all that stuff, but it's like just told in a new kind of story, and it was like, nah, like that didn't go anywhere. I don't think enough people watched it. So
Yeah, I don't think it's enduring property. I really don't. Like, yeah, the toys are worth a little money if you still have them. That's about it. It's not a good story. There's not just not.
well, it's a
I
very the original He-Man, like if you read if you remember, when we were kids, a lot of the toys would come with mini comics that would have the backstory of the
yeah.
characters, and the He-Man and that is very different than the animated series. Um, those comics are very more along the lines of Conan the Barbarian, which what He-Man was based on, you know. And then,
Right on.
um, so I always found it funny that like there's never been an adaptation, as far as I know, in an animated series, let alone live action, that kind of played on that version of the character. Like that kind of just got lost to the annals of time. Where it's like it's funny because that's what the toy makers were going for. Like they designed the toy and it came out before the cartoon, and then
Yeah.
people should watch the toys that made us about He-Man because it's interesting. And then it was like, oh, let's create a cartoon. And they worked with I guess it was Hanna Barbera that did that show, and then of course they came up with the hokey cartoon. And at the time, they always had to have those lessons at the end of the episode, uh,
Hmm.
you know, and it turned into something completely different. And you know how no one ever figured out that Prince Adam was He-Man is beyond me. I always like the idea, like because they did this with the Kevin Smith one, where he was like kind of skinny, and then when he turns into
Yeah.
He-Man, he gets muscular. Like that makes sense, but to have him just be the same guy,
The same dude. It's just what take the pink shirt off and the
uh huh,
purple pants off and put on your whatever you want to call it. It's not chain mail. It's like I don't know. It's like plate mail, but with no pauldrons. But anyway, yeah, the
Kassan says,
cat.
I was gonna say, Kassan says, give me Robert Howard Conan, give me the grim, dark, mystical epic. Yeah, we had those with Arnold, remember?
Oh,
So you were gonna say, um,
I was just saying, but remember Cringer and Battle Cat? Like he would
yeah,
physically kind of change. You know, he was skinny and then fucking became Battle Cat, all beefy and stuff. Um, yeah, good times, man, with the toys. But I have no interest in that property whatsoever.
uh, all right. So the other interesting trailer that we got this week was there was a new Daredevil Born Again trailer, which was interesting for two reasons. One, they're definitely tying it back to the Netflix series. Like
Yeah,
there is no like I found that interesting because like they were being cagey, like, is this attached? Is it a brand new, just the same actors, but like they're gonna do their own take? But they show him in the black outfit from the Netflix series. They show scenes of that. So it's like, okay, so this is, the same Matt Murdock, the same Daredevil. And in the trailer, they also show clips from Captain America Brave New World, which ties it into the greater MCU. So does that mean that those Netflix shows are MCU canon?
oh, there is absolutely no question about that. In fact, this is really started, and I'll speak on it right now. This is actually further kind of starting to solidify, in my mind, like Marvel really incorporating these other universes that weren't theirs into theirs. We see it here with the Daredevil with the Netflix. we've already kind of seen it with the Fox, but I think they're going to go full blown. Like the Fox X-Men universe, I don't think is dead at
No.
all.
Well, I think we're going to get an answer to that with Secret Wars, where I think they're going to pull
Maybe,
that universe in, and some of those
and,
characters will end up in our universe. Yeah.
and maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they're like, hey, fuck it, we're in the multiverse era anyway, so fuck it, legitimize it all. Not, I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're just not. Nope, it's ours now, and so fucking no. I appreciate them saying nope. That happened. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
You didn't waste your time.
don't forget at the end of the Marvels, Monica ended up in that X-Men universe,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, it's funny because people keep saying that was the Fox X-Men universe, but it felt more like the animated series with
Mm-hmm.
Beast in a coat, in a lab coat, and made to look like that Beast more than he did as in any of the X-Men movies. So
Like it's really kind of maybe a hard pill to swallow for people. Maybe that's why they don't think about it. But like the further we get into this multiverse shit, and again, I'm really tired of it. I just want one. Anyway, we're basically kind of starting to see like, but the MCU that we've been following, like it ain't shit. Like it's not the Marvel universe. It doesn't have the Fantastic Four. It doesn't have the X-Men. Like I think we're gonna like I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Like I think that's what
yeah.
we're gonna find out. There's gonna be a whole nother universe, hopefully, that we start following that has everything now.
All right, I have to bring this up. So I am sure you have seen these videos that get flooded into your timeline that are definitely AI generated. They'll have a voiceover that's AI, and it's either clips from something else or they're AI generated images. And there was one that came up in my feed today that was all about the history of Wolverine and how originally his claws weren't meant to be part of him. They were just attached to his glove,
It's
and
true.
then blah blah, and then it evolved into being part of him. But I mean, it's funny because actually, Savage Dragon. I can't think of the writer's name. Artist and writer. For Savage Dragon.
Yeah, when it comes to image, I remember Farland, Lee, and McFarlane, but that's it.
Well, he chimed in on the post and was basically saying that's not entirely true because they never explicitly stated anything um, when the character was introduced in the Incredible Hulk. Like he fought him, and they don't ever say that it's just part of his gloves. And then
Equally true.
when they introduced him, Eric Larson, thank you. I just looked it up. This and then he said that, and he worked for Marvel, so I trust him, and he knew all the guys who created
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine. And then he said when they brought him in, giant size X-Men, at that point it um was it at that point or shortly after that? Like it was definitely established. No, these come out of him, and that's when they started drawing blood on his gloves every time he
Yeah.
did it. But like, it's funny because two things about it. Number one, all the images are AI generated, and I can't stand it because whenever AI generates a picture of Wolverine, he's got like 4 or 5 claws, sometimes more, instead of just 3. And it's like, seriously, like you can't AI is that stupid? It doesn't know that he only has 3. Um, and two, there were people commenting on this where it was like, how can Wolverine have adamantium claws if they've just introduced adamantium into the MCU? And it was like, wow.
Well, you know what? I was going to save this, and I will. I'm going to talk about that in our Captain America.
Yeah,
'Cause
but I'm just like,
absolutely.
there's just so many people out there that's all they know are the movies. They don't read the
Sure,
books
I
at all.
understand. Yeah, but Dave,
Um,
we gotta welcome them, buddy. We do. I know it's hard. It's hard. But
I see so many comments every once in a while where it's like, wow, this person has never read a comic in their life, and all they know are the movies, and they're making a comment, and it's like,
Okay, well, okay, for yours, yes, I agree. He's definitely not really thinking about things there. So yeah, you're right. People kind of go half cocked, just say shit on the internet. That's what it's
Yeah.
there for at this point.
Unfortunately. So I think it's just going to be interesting. I'm we got I think 3 weeks till it comes out, and I really can't wait. I want to see how this is going to tie into the MCU, and I really hope that Charlie Cox is part of Secret War. Like I would love Daredevil to be part of it. He probably won't do it, but I
I
really want
don't
them.
think he will be. I don't, and I mean, that's why I'm sure this is going to be quality.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, Kingpin, Daredevil. I don't think he's going to have much to do with the multiversal conflict that will be Secret Wars. I don't. Could be wrong though,
Yeah.
because the MCU is drastically different from the comics. So
It is. It is. And speaking of things that are different, we have two stories that in my mind are related even though they're not. So first off, there is talk that Tremel Tillman, um, I don't know who that is. He's apparently in a show that's popular and people are talking about him. Is possibly this is a rumor, but they're possibly talking about him replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang in Doomsday because apparently there is still a role. I mean, we're in the multiverse sport. You can't do that without Kang at this point. So there is rumors there is still a small role from him, and that possibly Doctor Doom kills him like pretty much right away. So I mean, maybe they'll recast him to be real short. We'll see. And it just got me. I mean, I don't know. First off, what do you think? Do you think they should recast Kang, or they should just forget the character ever existed?
fuck no, they should not recast Kang. Dave mentions that I had a show of my own on YouTube, Omega Level Nerds.
Yeah.
Did with my wonderful friend J100, who some might view as a controversial man. But to be honest with you,
Strong opinions.
you know what? But fact checks check him right. So
Yeah.
truth hurts. With that said, you can go back into our channel and you will find me and him looking into the case against Jonathan Majors, and he was convicted in a court of law. That is absolutely true, but he shouldn't have been. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Okay. So with that said, absolutely, he should not be recast. He should be rehired for his role. Welcome with open arms. I'm not against moving away from the Kang and the multiverse shit with the Fantastic Four and X-Men stuff here. I accept that. I understand that. But Jonathan Majors did nothing wrong.
I agree.
Sorry. So he shouldn't have been fired. He should be back. I think he's an Oscar. He should I did not like Quantumania, but at the same time, again, you will see it on my channel in the thumbnail, Oscar winning performance. I thought he was, I mean, he just all the variations of Kang that he plays at the same time. I
Yeah.
think he's a brilliant and wonderful actor, and Disney or any other company should be privileged to work with him. That's how I feel about it, Dave.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. Though it got me and I think Jonathan Majors is a great actor, and I'm sure we're going to get comments about it at some point, but yeah, like he shouldn't be recast. They should bring him back. They're not going to because it's too hot of a topic. But it got me thinking about like Marvel definitely has a history of recasting characters. At the very top of the list, Harrison Ford coming in for um uh what's his
William
face?
Hurt.
William Hurt, that's it. I knew it was Hurt. I couldn't think of the first name. Yeah, William Hurt, who obviously played Thunderbolt Ross in from The Incredible Hulk all the way up to the last time we saw him. And then Rhodey was recast. Yeah, thank you, Thrawn. Rhodey was recast.
Hulk's been recast.
Hulk's been
Twice.
recast. twice. Well,
It
Eric
wasn't Disney, but
Eric Banya doesn't unfortunately count. He's not part of the MCU, but Edward Norton was. Um, so like they have definitely recast quite a few people. So this like
there's no reason. We're talking about deaths. We're talking about people that try to hold them up for money. Jonathan Majors didn't do any of that.
no,
Just,
exactly.
I'm sorry.
But it
I'm very
also
defensive when it comes to this subject because
but it also brings
he's
me back
generally
to
supposed.
T'Challa. Like their refusal to recast him was, I thought, so
Well,
short-sighted.
it's hurt their whole franchise.
Yeah, big time. I think if they had recast him and we had uh Black Panther since Endgame, they would have had stronger movies with him. So that Black Panther 2 was terrible. I'm sorry. Everyone knows it. So, yeah. But also speaking of recasting, there are rumors that they're talking about a uh, Guardians of the Galaxy 4, even though um, when at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the only one that said would return was Star Lord. So we know that Chris Pratt's going to be back. Um, and of course, the Guardians were a different team at the end of 3. So like, and the Guardians have had a changing roster throughout the years. So you can easily do a Guardians of the Galaxy 4 without the other characters. But Dave Bautista has come out and said, I will never do another Guardians of the Galaxy movie unless um, James Gunn is the director. And of course, James Gunn is busy over at DC, so he's not going to go and direct a Marvel movie. So that was him basically saying, I'm never going to play Drax again. But can we be completely honest? Like, any strong guy can play Drax. It's not like there was anything about his performance that made you go, wow, I love Dave Bautista as Drax. He's such an amazing actor. He plays a guy who takes everything literally and like
Yeah.
doesn't understand sarcasm and doesn't understand alliteration and or simile and those kinds of things. So it's like you can get any dumb strong guy to play them. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. You don't need a Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, you
He's
don't.
a boring character. The only
Right.
characters that you need to return for the Guardians of the Galaxy are Star Lord, Gamora, so they can do their whole thing again. You can do the whole love interest, I don't care about it, but others will. Of
I
course, you
do.
need Raccoon and Groot
You mean
Outside
Rocket?
of that, Rocket. I'm sorry, Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Outside of those people, you don't even need anybody else as far as I'm concerned. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Finding a way to put Yondu back in the mix, that might be cool. We are in the multiverse. So we could do something like that, but no one cares about Mantis, at least I don't, or anything else. So
This is true.
they don't need it. They don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's true.
So they certainly don't need you're correct. They certainly don't need Dave Bautista.
No, they don't need Dave Bautista. And it's not like people ran to the theater to see Dave Bautista play Drax. It's
and
not.
and have you seen him recently?
He's lost a lot of muscle. He doesn't work out
Yeah,
anymore.
he looks more like Dulcine from Street Fighter 2 than he does, Drax. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if they offer a big enough paycheck, he'd bulk up and do it again. But I don't think.
well,
Yeah,
steroids
again.
don't cost much.
No, they don't. I won't touch that comment too much, but no, they don't. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because that was something that JD would talk about all the time. Like all those guys are on steroids, all the wrestlers, like no one gets naturally that big. It's true. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
The Rock must take a lot of steroids because you can work out as much as you want. You're never going to be that big unless you take steroids. So, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was weird. Like it was a recent interview and he came out and said, like, yeah, I'll never do it again. It's like, okay, no one's crying over that at this point. Like, sorry. Um, yeah, I guess I'm a terrible person because I don't care. All right.
No, you're not, because nobody else does. Nobody cares.
Well, that's it. That was all the news I brought this week. Man, we're flying by because John's not here, but we do have a movie to talk about. So let's take one more quick commercial break.
Remember
Come
when we
back
wanted
with our
these to be
main-
an hour? Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, we're at it almost an hour now. We will come back with our main topic. Let me.
I'm not
see,
mad.
let me see.
Hey, Spidey, isn't Marvel's new Pizzazz magazine fantastic?
Fantastic, but not perfect.
But Pizzazz has the lowdown on Jaws, too, and more Sean Cassidy picks than his mother. It's sensational.
Sensational, but not perfect.
How about Pizzazz's Goofy Guide to TV? It's wild look at sci-fi movies. It's games, puzzles, comics. What could be more perfect?
Me on the cover, not the Hulk.
Pizzazz, the almost perfect new monthly from the off-the-wall gang at Marvel Comics.
All right. Again, I will say this as I did last week. If you have a podcast and you would like to us advertise you on the show, email me at dave@superheroespeak.com and we will play your ad during the show. Try to keep it under a minute. We have some ads that are pretty long. And yeah, I'm trying to like get some shorter ads too. And Randy, if you're watching this or you're watching this after the fact, like, yeah, send us a new ad for um So Wizard, and I'm sorry for Colt 45, and if you want to do one for So Wizard that doesn't use crazy AI pictures, um, because that's just nuts. Um, so all right, sorry. I have and of course I have an iPhone and a MacBook and all that stuff, so everything's connected. And my girlfriend is
Well, so you
texting me
get a-
while we're talking,
Right,
and it's
right.
coming
You
up
get a
on the
text
screen.
message. You're like, ding, 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 ding. Oh, okay. I've had
All
that.
right.
Apple TV, the iPad, the iPhone. Yeah.
Well, she said I ran into Harrison Ford at Walmart, so I'm guessing it's someone that looked like Harrison Ford. She sent me a picture. I will look at it later. Um. So anyway, we saw a movie. Oh, never mind. Sorry, it was a Red Hulk, a stuffed Red Hulk that she picked up and took a picture of at Walmart. All right, we saw. Speaking of Harrison Ford and Red Hulk, we both saw a movie this weekend over this fine holiday weekend. It was Captain America: Brave New World. This is Anthony Mackie's first starring role in the MCU, playing Sam Wilson, Captain America, Falcon Cap. To those who love the comics. Um, so before we get into it, as we do always on the show, let's talk some numbers. So as of right now, according to Box Office Mojo, the movie stands at 192.4 million worldwide. That is 100 million domestically and 92.4 million internationally. I'm going to talk about that in a second because I have an issue with that. And I'll explain. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 51% critic score, which is pretty bad for an MCU movie, and an 80% audience score, which does feel about right, in my opinion. And then finally, we did one of our patented superhero speak polls over on the X, formerly known as Twitter. And of course, we said, what did you think of Captain America: Brave New World? And we gave them 4 options. One of the best: MCU. It was good. It was okay. And I didn't like it at all. Tied for last place was It Was Okay, and I didn't like it at all at 15%. Coming in at second, It Was Good at 25%. And taking the top spot, which shocked me, in all honesty, one of the best: MCU at 45%. Um, and it actually got a decent number of votes too. So um, let's actually, you know what? I want to ask you, it's something we don't normally do on the show, but I want to ask you, how was your experience going to see this movie? Any issues? Was it crowded? Did you have any kind of audience issues? What how was your experience there, Don?
I mean, it's snowing a lot here
Mhm.
where I live in northern Ohio, South Shore, Lake Erie. But outside of that, made a quick trip to the grocery store to sneak us some candy. Got our popcorn and pop. Saw that they had some popcorn buckets. One was a Red Hulk. I was like, do I want to buy one? And I'm like, it's not really funny unless it looks like you can fuck it. So no, I'm not going to buy it. And so we go up to the theater. There's 4 other people in the theater.
What time
There
did you
you have.
go?
Our show started at 4:10. Well, really it started at 4:40 because 4:10 is when they're going to start the bullshit
Yeah,
commercials for 20 minutes and blah blah blah. So yeah,
And that was on a Saturday?
that was right before the show here. Like I
Oh.
watched that and then watched the last Spider-Man issue and then boom, showtime.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I had an interesting experience. So, and I'm bringing this up because there has been a rumor for a while floating around the internet, and I've kind of ignored it, that Disney is doing things to make their movies look like they perform better than they actually are. And I was like, nah, that's not true. So we get up on Saturday morning, and I said to my girlfriend, "Do you want to go see the movie?" And she's like, "Sure, let's just go this morning." So I went on Fandango, as most people do nowadays, looked at the tickets, and I was like, "Oh, there's a 10 o'clock show," and this was, uh, like 8:45 in the morning. And she's like, "Oh yeah, let's go. Well, we can make that." I'm like, "All right," because literally the hotel we were at was 3 blocks from the movie theater that we normally go to. So perfect. So I bought the tickets. We pack up, we go over to the movie theater, and the guy's like, "Oh, you need 3D glasses." I'm like, "Oh, crud, I bought 3D." And I don't like watching in 3D because I get motion sick with it anymore at my age. Um, and the guy collecting the tickets, he's like, "Just go to the box office, they'll exchange it for you." He's like, the 2D starts at 10:30. I'm like, and Karen's like, "Yeah, that's fine, we can do that." Okay, so I go over to the box office. The girl's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." She scans the thing in. She's like, "I got to get the manager to approve it." I'm waiting for a couple minutes. The guy comes back and he's like, I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Well, it's saying that the show is sold out, but it's not. And it's not letting me exchange the tickets." And I'm like, "What?"
Whoa.
He's like, "Well, you bought the tickets on Fandango, and our system says it's not sold out, but Fandango says that it is." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "So we're going to have to call the help desk." And I'm like, "All right, fine." He's like, "It'll be like 10 minutes." I'm like, "All right." So what I did is there's a Dunkin' Donuts in the same shopping center. We went over there. My girlfriend wanted the breakfast from there, so we got some breakfast for her that she snuck into the theater, and then we come back over, and he's like, "Yeah, we still weren't able to straighten it out." And Karen just goes, "Well, we paid for tickets, right?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Is it sold out?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, can we just go in?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, sure." So they
Yeah.
let us just go in. There were literally maybe 20 people in the theater with us.
Mm.
Not even close to sold out. So, and the manager actually said when he was talking to me, "This keeps happening with this movie,"
Wow. Okay.
which
Conspiracy.
I don't know if it's true, boys and girls, but you heard it here first. If it is true, maybe Disney and Fandango are doing something to make it look like the movie's doing better than it actually is. Um, which is weird. Like, how can it be saying it's sold out, but the movie theater's like, "We've only sold 15 tickets. Why is it saying sold?" Like, that's hurting the movie theater if they're doing something with Fandango. So it could just be a glitch with this movie. I don't know. I don't have proof. Hopefully nobody just died at Don's house. Um is that maybe a crazy dog?
Or cat.
Or cat. Oh yeah. Well, my cat's downstairs. I don't let her in my room when I'm doing this. Um so yeah, so it was weird. That's all I'm saying. It was really weird because like,
That is weird. That is what the kids would say is sus.
yeah, and I kept
Um,
thinking like, "Oh, someone's gonna come in and we're gonna have to move." Like, no. Like, And then, like, once the preview started and like there weren't more people coming in, I'm like, yeah, this is it. I mean, it's also kind of expected at 10:30 on a Saturday. There isn't going to be a huge crowd. It's
Yeah.
why I normally go to early movies on the weekend. But yeah, which makes the 200 million that they're saying it made suspicious to me. I don't know what really to think. Like, let's see, Disney at Don's house waiting for him to slip up. Yes, that's what that noise was.
They didn't like the fact that I text Dave like, "Hey, I recorded the end credit scene. Do you want to show it tonight on the show?"
Yeah, we should, but you
I didn't get home in time
you-
enough to edit it, so
yeah, and you're cursing in it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's first do what we always do, non-spoiler. You obviously just saw it, so it's fresh in your mind. Walking out of the theater, what did you think?
I thought it was really good. I mean, right off the bat, I'll give you a score of 8 out of 10. I mean, it's not spectacular, not great. It didn't do really much in my eyes to forward the MCU as a whole, but it does go back and it addresses the whole, Eternals uh, celestial thing. So okay, I like that. Thank you. Thank you for that making sense. And I don't feel this is a spoiler. So if it is, I apologize. But obviously that dead celestial is like made of adamantium or got adamantium in it and they've discovered it. And that excites me because, adamantium equals Wolverine,
Yes.
equals X-Men, equals mutants. And of course, I'm the guy on the podcast that's just saying, when are the mutants going to come? So I thought
Yeah,
it was well acted. I thought the actors did a good job. And I thought that the story was solid. So maybe you could say better than average. I'm saying pretty good. I thought it was a good entry to the MCU.
Okay. I'm kind of with you on most of that. Like the more I thought about it, to the fact that they introduced adamantium in a Cap movie also works because his shield has been destroyed in the comics a couple times, and at one point they did put adamantium in there along with the vibranium. It's an alloy made of adamantium, vibranium, and was it Uru? Is the metal that
I think so, yeah.
Mjolnir is made out of? So like that is what the shield actually is now and it is the most indestructible item in the Marvel universe. But yeah, like I feel like there was definite things that tied the plot in the fact that they were trying to tie some things together and set some things up for the future in this movie, you know? So, in some ways, that, in my opinion, hurt it just a little bit, not like majorly, but typical MCU, like, oh, well, we're gonna bring in adamantium here, and um we're gonna bring in a villain that I think we're gonna use again at some point. And they made it work by tying it all in with the Incredible Hulk movie that everyone forgot exists, and is
They
part of
really do. I was going to mention this earlier. They really do like connect to that movie. And it's not technically, I know it's technically the first MCU movie,
uh-huh.
but it's not a Disney movie. And it really has been a linchpin
Neither
for
is
the
neither,
universe.
neither is the first Iron Man. The first
Correct.
Iron Man was pre-Disney as well. So, and then after that, everything's Disney. But yeah, like, yeah, it's just
I mean, Liv
so
Tyler back as Betty. I can't remember. Betty
okay. Well,
what.
spoiler, yeah, lift.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was apparent. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there are two cameos in this that weren't spoiled in trailers. But it's so funny too because we talked about this. Red Hulk should not have been shown in the trailers, and I feel like they did that just to draw people in. But it would have been a better payoff if they didn't show him in the trailers, in my opinion. But we'll get to all that in spoilers. So I'm with you. Yeah, it's definitely like I said, 80% felt right to me with the audience score. So that is an 8 out of 10. Um, is it the best cat movie? No. Is it the best MCU movie? Obviously not. But it's not the worst. It's not Eternals bad. It's not Quantumania bad. It's not, you know, Thor the Dark World bad. It's not bad. It's, you know, um it's not perfect, but yeah. So there you go. That's non-spoiler. We thought about it. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your opportunity to bail. Come back later and hear more what we thought. If you have seen it or if you don't care about spoilers, here we go. So spoiler wise, I do want to start off like, yeah, there's a whole plot in this movie. Like I feel like in some ways they were trying to recapture Winter Soldier and the espionage spy aspect of that movie, you know, where like no one knows what's going on. It's the leader behind the scenes doing mind control on these people. Um, and because he's so intelligent and he knows
The
um
probabilities.
probability, that's the word. He knows all the probabilities. He knew that if he got Cap in the right position, he would show up at the White House and he would bring his friend. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. The original, well, not the original,
Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley with him, the forgotten Captain America. And then he would be able to use Isaiah Bradley to shoot at the president, which I that's very convoluted, in my opinion. You know, because there was a very good chance they set it up where Isaiah was like not going to go at all. Um, but you know, there's a there's a thread throughout the whole movie of them building and building and building to Thunderbolt Ross losing it and becoming the Red Hulk, and then the final fight is Red Hulk and Cap, and it's like Sam Wilson, you know, but like that was ruined because they showed so much of that fight in the trailers because it's the only time he's the Red Hulk, you know. Um, so like that kind of takes it down a notch in my opinion. Well, I don't know. What did you think?
Okay. You know, I got a lot of thoughts. I'm going to get into them. But before I do, I just want to say that it's really unfortunate that in this day and age, you go on YouTube and you immediately see 10 thumbnails about a review for this movie that say, like, oh, this sucks. This is bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, guys?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
somebody types in, you know, Captain America, A Brave New World review. Okay, show up all day long, but it just, I don't know, fix this shit, guys. I don't want to just go on my fucking YouTube homepage,
So
see this shit.
I mean I mean
But
that is a major issue with social media because you normally watch stuff like that. They're going to show you all the channels you normally watch, and it's just like
yeah,
I think was it not New Rockstars, the other one that I watch, where uh their thumbnail was it bad? You know, and like I didn't
yeah.
I didn't want to watch any other reviews before we did ours because I wanted to not be tainted by any other opinions. Um, but it's just like, yeah, exactly. Like that's the other problem. That's the biggest problem with social media. I did want to mention this. It's like because everyone perceives that this is a bad movie, they know they're going to get more views if they say that up front or if they present that in their thumbnail. And that's all they're after. And it's just like, no, just be honest. Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? Because yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
that really puts this show, honestly, it puts our show, Superhero Speak, to me, up and above the rest with this sort of thing. Because it's not our goal to be like, okay, boom, the movie was out on Thursday. We're going to have something out at 12:05, you know, on Thursday about it. But then we're going to say, you know, oh, fuck this movie, it sucks. No. You come here, or we title them, hey, Captain America, Brave New World. You know, we're going to talk about it. and you go from there. We're not already trying to get you to draw a conclusion with just
Right.
a thumbnail or title alone. So I'm just compelled to say that after a couple beers. But so
So you said you had a lot of thoughts. So
yes, yes. So I think I did a pretty decent job of kind of telling you everything I liked about it, which is my pre-spoiler. I mean, there's some more stuff in there, but I definitely have some notes here, and I'll tell you everything that knocks it down for me.
okay.
Honestly, I thought the movie was really great. The only time I started to question a little bit of some of the character choices was, remember when they went to the Echo One base where the leader was?
Yep.
They should have had their suits. Why did he not have his vibranium suit of armor that lets him fly? Like, it made no sense. I know they kind of tried to explain it away a little bit, but there's no reason that they both should have gone to that Echo One base without their suits. That made no sense.
Yeah.
I understand that the overall theme of this was that he didn't have a superhero serum, or whatever to call it, super soldier serum. So that makes him like, and he still doesn't quit. I got that message, and I'm here for it, and I buy it, but it still didn't make no sense to me.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, in response to that too, because that's a point in the movie, and then when we get the one unexpected cameo, which when I told my son about it because he hasn't seen it yet, he was like, "Well, of course he was going to show up. Bucky shows up. It's a Captain America movie. You know, Bucky's going to show up at some point." And
but they're laying some seeds with that. I don't know if you want to get into it, but they're laying some seeds there with that one.
yes,
scene.
yes. We'll get into that in a second. But which again, that's one of the things in my problem with current MCU movies is there's so much that they put in it to set up future stuff. You know, I mean, it wasn't as bad in this one as it has been in other movies, but yeah, that whole Bucky scene was, you're setting up other stuff for Bucky down the road. But of course, there's that whole speech that he gives them, like, "Oh, you know, you give people something to aspire to because you do this and you have no powers whatsoever. You just have your suit to help you, and it's your will and blah 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 blah." And it's like, yeah, but then we get to the fight at the end. Sam goes, "Bucky's full of shit." Like, basically, it felt like at that moment he's decided, I'm going to take the super soldier serum, and I do feel like we're going to end up with a Sam with taking the serum. Like, it only makes, especially if they're going to want to put him up against bigger threats like that. He lucked out with the Red Hulk, but he won't always luck out. And I think logically it makes sense for him to take the serum at this point. But go ahead.
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's going to be Captain America for much longer. But that's a whole nother thing. Okay, so Thrawn, of course, I hear the president's head of security seems a little on the tiny side, but was an ex-widow. Okay, I'll answer that in a minute. You're talking about Sabra, the Mossad agent. This is from a movie, by the way. So I'm just going to address all this. Absolutely, it was in my notes. The
actress who plays, I can't think of the character's name.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but yeah, she was from the Red Room. She's basically a Black Widow.
She is a tiny little woman.
She looks like my daughter that I took to the movie, who is 10 years old. Like, no, none of that works. And it seems a little forced. Women are badass. I'm here for that message, but
well, I mean, it's funny because she's a decent actress. I'm not going to take that away from her at all. It was funny when she first shows up, I turned to my girlfriend and I'm like, she's going to end up being a bad guy, and then it's not. So I was pleasantly surprised that she ends up being like on Sam's side by the end of the movie. So yeah, and look, I'm going to say something that's going to disturb some people. My one ex was like 4'10", and there is something about short girls. Just going to leave it at that. All right, so go ahead.
Okay, all right. No, okay. It looks like a child. All right. So okay, let's get to the Red Hulk. And so that's where my notes go from here. So do you want to talk about more before we get to the Red Hulk, or?
Ruth Best the Lost is the actress's name. All right. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, what was kind of fun is I did mention I did take my one child, my 8-year-old, and with her not knowing the comics, like one thing that was kind of fun, she knew there was a Red Hulk, but she didn't know who was going to be the Red Hulk. Okay.
Okay.
Again, I understand probably most people probably didn't know already,
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of fun. She's like, "Oh, he's gonna be the hell," and then he finally showed, as soon as the leader was talking to the president about, your inner beast or whatever, the inner monster, she's like, "Oh, I bet he's gonna." So anyway, and there wasn't anybody in the theater, so you could talk, no problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was kind of fun, but so it turns out that in this movie, the leader, which looks horrible, by the way, I'm sorry, that look is stupid. I don't like it.
You know what?
Um,
It's funny. Yeah, it was weird. Like they could have just made his head big. I don't know why they made it look like his brains on the
mhm.
outside kind of thing. But I also kind of thought it could have been saved if they gave him the goatee.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't know why they
yeah,
didn't give him the goatee like he has in the
yeah.
comics. Like
I
that was an
agree.
odd choice to me.
I
But like
agree.
because then I would have been more acceptable. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the leader. But
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't.
So it turns out he turns into the Red Hulk because he needed to go to the leader to help with his heart problem. I guess that's what you do in a world without Reed Richards or the Beast. Is you go to the leader for your medical insurance. Either way, so he gives him this medication, and it turns out this medication has gamma in it that turns Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross unwillingly into the Red Hulk.
Which is a departure from the
It is
comics.
a
Yeah.
180 degrees departure from the comics, where he does it he does it willingly in order to make himself a weapon that could
Against the
go
Hulk.
up against the Hulk.
Yeah.
So, and the way they did this story, where like President Ross was in cahoots with the leader, they already set that up. So I didn't see any reason that they needed a whole like, oh, this was, he did this unwillingly. I would have absolutely thought it was better for him to have willingly worked with the leader to make this happen. So he's like, well, I'm the president. I don't want to die. And, I want to, so I didn't like that departure. I didn't. I thought they could have kept it closer to the source material, and it would have made just as much
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and
Um,
along those lines too, it like I thought it was a little weird because you get the impression that he's been feeding him gamma from the beginning, and they set it up where he goes to the leader because his heart is failing, and none of the doctors can figure out why. But because the leader is obviously super intelligent, he's able to figure it out. He gives him these pills that he now has to take to keep his heart going, and but from the beginning, there's gamma radiation in them, right? Where he reveals like, well, he was trying to take Thunderbolt's legacy away from him because um he became president. He didn't release him, but he'd only been president for 100 days. But he'd been giving him gamma from the beginning. So it's just like it is a slight plot hole in that sense. Like,
mhm.
whereas again, going back to what you just said, if they made it the same thing, he wanted to be a Hulk so he could fight the Hulk, or take it even a step further back. He wanted to be a Hulk so he could defend America from alien invasions that the United States or the world has faced twice already in the MCU. So like
Yeah.
it would have made sense to him be like, I want to be powerful so I can protect the world. Okay. But making it so that it's the leader just being evil and wanting to take away his legacy, just that kind of fell apart for me. But go ahead.
No, the writing is the weak point here. I
Yeah.
thought the action was great,
Yeah.
but the writing is a weak point. Particularly going back to him being the president, like they're going to this celestial island to confront the Japanese navy,
That the president
and
would never be allowed on the boat.
right, he would never be. Now again, if he knew he was the Red Hulk and he knew he was in no danger, that makes sense. But in this movie, it is written that he does not know he's the Red Hulk. So yeah, it makes no fucking sense for the president to be like, "Oh, active war zone? Let me get on that ship. We're at the front lines." Yeah, no, that would completely never fucking happen.
Yeah. So Kasan says, in a world with Wakanda tech, Doctor Strange, Tony Stark,
Yes.
with his medical condition and Red Hulk,
Right.
the Red Hulk cure seems stupid. Yes, exactly.
I agree. Even in the
Um,
present condition of MCU without Reed or Beast or whatever, there are still a lot more people. Now I get it. Maybe he thinks they're a little pissed off at him, but it makes it still okay. Bad guy, you got medicine for me? Let me go and take that every day. Every day. Okay.
yes. Real quick before you continue on, Kasan also says, as a Palestinian, I refuse to watch it on that premise alone. That the movie received such mixed reviews made it easy to avoid. Are you talking about the premise of a little woman being able to beat up men? You know, like Kasan, we love you here. Obviously, we have no issues with any of that. But if you're saying that, you know, women can't beat up men, that might get us canceled. And all I can say to that is,
What are you doing? We don't do that here.
we love women. They're just as good as men. Yeah. A woman can do anything a man can do. Yeah. That's right. Anyway,
Okay.
what was your next point there?
That's why my wife hits me as hard as she can, and still anyway. Okay, so this I thought there was no way they would screw this up, but they kind of did. They did not show the fact that the Red Hulk, as he gets more angry, gets hotter. When he
Yes.
first transformed, it burned off most of his clothes, except those that cover his penis and his butt. But outside of that, like they did not at all show how the Red Hulk is actually different from the Green Hulk.
I agree because the Red Hulk also keeps his faculties in the comics, where he did turn
Yes.
into a raging beast, just like the Green Hulk in the MCU, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. But yet he still knew that he was Ross, because that's how Sam beats him, is by talking him down, by saying, "What would Betty think?" And look at the pretty cherry blossoms, you know, and all that
So
stuff.
since you're talking about that, that was one of my points that I was going to kind of put on the plus side. Actually, it was my next point. So I'm actually very glad that they went with the whole Sam Wilson was able to talk the Red Hulk down and didn't come up with some way to somehow justify. Because I like Sam Wilson, Captain America. I understand he's got like vibranium, cool Falcon armor, but he's not fucking taking down a Hulk.
Right.
So, and I thought, I'm like, watch, Betty's going to show up and it's going to be the whole
That's-
Black Widow. The sun's
Yeah.
getting low, but
That's
they
what I
didn't
thought.
do it.
Yeah.
So they're going to, I had to give them kudos there. They didn't go with the apparent play there.
And that's the funny thing too, right? Because exactly that's what everyone thought. Because what's her face?
Liv Tyler, who plays
Liv
Betty
Tyler.
Ross.
Yeah, Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler is listed in the credits on everything that I looked at beforehand. You heard her voice earlier in the movie, and I thought, oh, is that all we're gonna get? And like, it's the obvious play to have her show up there to talk him down, but that doesn't happen. So when she shows up at the very end of the movie, it was like, oh, well played, Marvel. Like, I will give them that. Like,
Yeah.
she did get a cameo, but it's not until the very end, and she is not the hero. Cap is. So go ahead.
Well, and that's pretty much, that's all the points I had was, you know, those right there. The only other note I had was I am just wondering now, with this being the first appearance, if you will, of Adamantium in the MCU, is there truly no Wolverine in this MCU, at least in this particular universe, or does he exist, but he doesn't have Adamantium yet? But those are far off questions that we won't have answer for quite some time. But
I don't know, because if they do the whole,
like, is this the actual only adamantium on Earth?
Right.
It does come from space, so there could be meteorites. So they could go either way. I just wonder which way they're going to go.
That's an excellent question, because if they go the whole bringing Wolverine from another universe in aspect in Secret Wars, which I hope they don't, but they might. Um, Adamantium already existed in the X-Men universe, so that kind of works. And now they don't need to explain it because it exists in our universe now. Um, and here's another thing too, along those lines: the Celestial sticking out of the Indian Ocean, his hand and part of his head, right? And like it's called Celestial Island now, and that's
Yeah.
a source of adamantium. But think about it. He's a giant celestial inside of the core of the earth, right? So
Right.
someone could find another point and dig and get to adamantium. But the whole movie is, well, if you control the island, you control the adamantium. And it's just like adamantium. It's like, really? Like
Yeah.
somebody smart enough will be able to go, well, wait, if we drill here deep enough, we'll hit part of his body and get some of it there too. So
Yeah.
like that's another slight plot hole in this movie, trying to like say it's just the island where the little bit of them is sticking out of the ocean. Like, eh. Um and I know it's an action movie, you're not supposed to think that deep about it. But yeah. Uh okay, so Kasan says I think they'll go with what with that Don. Wolverine had adamantium grafted to him from an earlier source, but they ran out from all the tests. Yeah, that would make sense. I don't want to have a Wolverine origin story. Like, just have him show up. That's how they did in the comics, and then later on told his origin, and that was what made him an intriguing character in the comics. It's like you had no idea how he got these powers, or like how he got the metal in him. Like he had
Forever.
Right, he had amnesia, so he didn't even know, it was
We didn't get his origin till the 2000s. Wolverine, we didn't know shit about where he came from, exactly how old he was Sabretooth his father? Why does he like redheads? None of that shit got talked about until like 30 years after the character appeared.
He says, "Also, X-Men don't exist. I don't think we'll see them ever. Stop with the hopium." You know what, Kasan, they've already said that they're gonna introduce the X-Men in the MCU. Like, they've already said there's plans on the table. At one point, they were floating the idea of calling the movie Children of the Atom. Um, it's coming, Like, are we getting the X-Men as we know them? I don't know, but they're gonna start throwing
Yeah.
Easter eggs.
They
This is the
got
first
to.
one.
No, okay, you are.
He's trying to take you off.
He is. So let me tell you. So no one wants them is what Kasan is. Who think I'm his favorite, by the way. So here we are. So listen, top 5 selling comic books of all time. You ready for it, Kasan? Number 1. Or no. How about this? We'll start with number 5. It was a Spider-Man number 1, not the Spider-Man number 1, but it was like volume 2 or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4, Death of Superman. Number 3, Superman's alive again. Number 2, X-Force. Number 1, X-Men. So 2 out of the top 5 top selling comic books of all time are X titles. We're going to see the X-Men again.
Yeah, X-Men's the top books for Marvel have always been definitely have been X-Men and Spider-Man, like for a long time, in the solo Wolverine books. So they're coming. Let's not kid ourselves. But let's be honest, nobody wants an origin movie again or any of that stuff. We kind of just want the X-Men to show up and save the universe again. So I also wanted to talk about some of the other aspects of the movie. Like, so of course, so we got Bucky. It's a quick cameo.
Great question.
What did he say?
He said, "Why would Disney put them off if they're so good then, huh?"
Because they just acquired Fox not that long ago, and their first concern was getting us a good Fantastic Four movie. and making it work within the current MCU. Like,
Yeah, I get it, and I do get that actually. I do.
because again, I think they plan like at least 3 to 5 years out of what they're doing. So, and there was also all this talk like they knew they bought them, but they couldn't make any plans until everything was finalized. It's a whole thing. It's unfortunately it's business, not just what people want.
And don't get me wrong, the business and boy, I gotta
Yeah.
tell you,
Okay.
well,
So
go ahead.
Fantastic Four is greater than X-Men in the eyes of Marvel. Yes, because in the sense of Fantastic Four is what kicked off Marvel. Period. End of discussion. That was Stan Lee's first book. Was the Fantastic Four solo book that he did that kicked off Marvel. Shortly followed by Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, then the Avengers, and then so on and so forth. So, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna say 70 years ago, but like you got to respect the history, Kasan. You got to respect it. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying before we got rudely interrupted? That so yeah, we got Bucky. It's a quick cameo when we're in the hospital because Joaquin, who is the new Falcon, and again, it is comic accurate. There was a new Falcon in the comics, and all this stuff. He was hurt in the battle in the Indian Ocean that the president shouldn't have been at. So Sam is visiting at the end of the movie. Sam's visiting him, or no, right before the end of the movie, before he fights the Red Hulk. Sam's visiting him, and Bucky shows up and gives this quick inspirational speech and drops this breadcrumb Easter egg that, oh, he's running for Senate, or Congress, one or the other. He's now running to be a politician, which is setting up wherever he's going to be in the at least in the Thunderbolts at that point, which kind of gives you a little bit more about the Thunderbolts. Like, why is he kind of looks like he's sitting it out, but then all of a sudden shows up in a scene in the trailers? Well, now we know. Like, they probably, because he was running for Senate, they didn't ask him to be part of the Thunderbolts. But then whenever what's going on, he's got to step in and save the day. So again, it's it's not the worst thing, but again, when you're tying, and that's a well done cameo that pushes the story forward. But here's the problem I have too: like, the leaders involved, then we get a Red Hulk, and it's just Sam by himself trying to face him at the end. Like, granted, yeah, the Avengers don't exist anymore. Steve's an old man. Tony's dead. Thor and Bruce Banner Hulk are still around. And no one showed up to help. Like, you created a world where characters were involved and people came out and helped. And even Bucky didn't come and help at the end. You knew he was in Washington. He came and visited him at the hospital.
That is a bitch of mine that I didn't know, but it's like, yeah, he shows up and they're sitting there talking as he's looking upon, the new Falcon being broken, like almost dead. And it's like, to me, the conversation could have been like, oh man, boy, you're, me playing Bucky right now. Oh man, you're really in some shit, Sam. All right, okay. Yeah, let me go suit up. Let me help you out. But that's not what he did. He's just like, well, you don't have no super soldier serum. You're cool. You're all right. You'll be fine. I'm gonna go run for Senate, which I think is him setting up to be Bucky Cap. I think they're kind of doing a road to redemption for his character, and I think that road does lead to him taking over the Captain America mantle, because I don't think Sam Wilson's going to keep it much anymore. I don't think we're going to see any more Captain America Sam Wilson.
We'll see.
But yeah,
there
should have been more people to help. Like, oh, Red Hulk, and everyone's just going to let Sam Wilson fight him. Like,
and but that actually does lead me to a question that I've had, and I wanted to. It was going to be like one of my first questions, but no, this is a point to ask. This is Sam Wilson. This is Anthony Mackie playing Sam Wilson. as Captain America, and he's still playing the same character, which obviously I don't want him to change his personality because now he's Cap, but he's not Steve Rogers. He's not Cap, right? Like he's not the 100-year-old strategist, who has this experience of fighting in World War
No,
II.
he's
Um,
not, but I feel that's part of the character arc. Because even
right.
in the comics, it feels like everyone just always reminds him, "You're not Steve." Everyone's like, "Steve, Steve, Steve." Oh, Steve. Like, just dealing with. I don't know. I get that part. I think they did a good job here of making
No,
a deal with that. There.
I'm not. What I'm saying is, do you think that will turn other people off when it's like, oh, well, now we're dealing with someone else being Captain America? Do you think that turns the average
I
viewer
don't.
off?
I don't think so because I actually feel that the character Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, is very charismatic.
Yeah, he is.
I feel he's got pretty good points. The way he's written. I don't know. He reacts things like a normal. He reacts to things like a normal person would. He really does do a good job of again. I know he's got Wakanda tech, but outside of that, they really do a good job of God, just imagine if a normal fucking dude had to deal with all this shit,
Yeah.
and the angle with the Isaiah Bradley, which I mean, I don't know, it was pretty. I identify with Isaiah Bradley because he's wearing I own two suits. I own two suits of them, and one of them I was married in, and I still wear it for work sometimes. So I don't know. I just
Look,
I identified with him.
that's something I wanted to bring up too. I really don't like talking about this stuff, and I don't. But there's a lot of people on one side of the aisle, who complain about Marvel movies being woke, and I feel like this movie is the best way of addressing past racism without beating you over the head with it, right?
Yeah, I didn't feel it was overt.
Right, by having Isaiah Bradley's character in it, who they did a great job of just telling you his story real quick. He was capped during Korea. They were given the super soldier serum, and then once they were done with him during the war, they put him in prison so they could do experiments on him for 50, 60 years, whatever it is. Which we all know the Tuskegee experiments were an actual thing in this country. None of that, all of that's real. It makes sense. There's no argument that's true. And it basically was, he was hesitant to go to the White House because the government had done that to him. Not oh my God, there's a history of systemic racism. It was, oh yeah, I don't want to go to the White House because this government did things to me and threw me in jail. And it makes sense. And then he gets mind controlled and he's like, oh my God, I can't go back to prison. And it makes a really good story with there being an element of that, but they're not beating you over the head with it. So it's not overly, as people would say, woke. It's giving you a good story. It reminds me of, when they would do this in sci-fi in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, where they didn't beat you over the head with the story, but they told you a clever story that made you think about it without beating you over the head. And I think that's one of the things that makes this movie really good. That's what I was getting at. I feel like they gave you a story about, there has been progress in this country, but there's still a lot of things that we did in our past we need to remember. And I think that was really well done. They didn't beat us over the head, and it makes it really good. I don't know. That was my thought on that. My other thought was there were some cool scenes in this, and I'm sorry, you're never going to beat the imagery of Falcon Cap riding a missile in the Indian Ocean, surfing on a missile. That was a cool shot. It really was.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie had several cool shots, but that was definitely one of them. But I absolutely agree with you. I don't think anything was overt here.
Yeah.
And furthermore, to be honest with you, with the woke stuff, Disney's not woke. I'll talk about it more when you ask about recommendations, but I'll just at the core, Disney is not woke. So
Yeah, I don't think they are. I mean,
Guarantee you.
I
Ask
think,
Bo
well,
DeMeo how woke Disney is. Anyway, I'll talk about that.
I do think that most big companies, they follow what they think the trends are.
Exactly.
Social media told these companies this is what people want. They try it, and in some cases it works, in some cases it doesn't, and then they start pulling back from it, not because, oh, we voted for this guy and nobody wants this anymore. No, because they realize like it's not as successful as they thought it was going to be. That's why they really start pulling away from this stuff. So, yeah.
Like,
Um, yeah,
Q
exactly.
T'Challa.
Kashan just said it. Disney likes to ride trends instead of set them. It's true. Like,
Yeah.
but it's also how they've been around for as long as they have, because they did set trends like their first animated full length movie and all that kind of stuff. But I would say in the last 40 years, they just kind of follow what the everyone seems to want.
Like Q T'Challa, but you never heard Disney like say, hey, how about we not make the Gaza Strip fucking rubble and kill anybody inside, right? No, they don't say it. Mum's the word, you know.
All right, hold on.
What are you doing? We don't do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, we don't. No. We don't touch that. Like, no. Sorry, it's too much of a hot topic. And good. Thank God John's not here.
Yeah,
that would be another hour of the podcast.
Well, see, I can at least hit you with the quick. Hit you with the quick political shit, not pull back. I don't stay on it.
So anyway, yeah, I think overall, like, there's some cool shots in it. Anthony Mackie is charming. Um, the the guy who played the leader, I can't think of the actor's name, but like, he even said it. He even said in an interview he's a much better actor than he was back when they made the Incredible Hulk, and he was good in the role. Like, the look, he wanted it done practical. It was definitely done practical. It's not CGI. So I give him props for that. Is it the best looking leader? No. But I think if they just did the giant head, it probably would have looked stupid. Let's be honest. He would have just looked like the aliens from
I
the
get
Conehead.
it.
He would have looked like the Conehead.
No, I mean the leader does kind of have like, right? Doesn't he kind of like got a butt on his head a little bit? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Please, I fucking love shawarma. It's so fucking tasty. I love hummus, bully, all that.
Not as good as Cat's Deli though. Come on, that was good.
No, that was good, but we're gonna have to find another spot because I've decided even if I can't afford to like stay in New York for like 4 days, I'm at least gonna fucking drive up there or something and go one day. It's very fucking least.
We will make this work. We've got.
But no, you're right. I absolutely, we will find some way.
Even if you've got to sleep, sell your body for a few days, we'll make it work.
All right. Okay. I found the people of New York to be quite welcoming, particularly if you have money in your pocket.
Exactly. So Anthony Mackie's charming. Some great action scenes in this movie. Couple questionable plot points, but they did a good job of tying stuff from other MCU movies, bringing them into this movie. And come on, everyone's been saying for a long time, what about the Celestial in the middle of the ocean? At least they finally addressed it.
Exactly. And I'm down for it. I actually like it. I like the explanation. I like the revisiting of it. I do.
Tim Blake Nelson is the actor. Thank you, Thrawn. A tiny little Black Widow. Like, yeah, there are definitely issues with that.
Yeah, that one was a bit ridiculous. Yeah, she looked out of place. She looked like a child.
Yeah. So I will give you that. But on that note, let's wrap this one up. Give me your score. You did give me your score, but give it to me again.
I did.
1 out of 10 capes, and your final thoughts on the movie.
My final thoughts on the movie is I thought it was a good entry into the MCU. Like I said, 8 out of 10. Okay. I'll take up on that, man. I eat that shit up. But I love the other places in Michigan too, and Dearborn and shit. Like they don't even have English on the signs. Like the food's fucking good. Anywho, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was well acted. I liked the action in the movie. It was just really enjoyable. Again, some of the writing elements maybe off a little bit, knock it down some pegs, but I liked it. It was enjoyable, even though it really only nudged us a little bit into the further MCU universe. I know we didn't touch upon the end credits, but it didn't really do much. It didn't really do much other than say, yeah, the multiverse is here. I mean, it's the leader coming out and say, yeah, by my probabilities, this isn't the only universe.
Yeah.
I just pretty much summarized the end credit scene for you. So I liked it though. I mean, would I have went to the movies to see it if I wasn't on a podcast with over 28,000, almost 29,000 subscribers? No, I would have waited for Disney Plus. But
Yeah.
I would have still enjoyed it. I enjoy it. It's good. I like it.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna echo the 8 out of 10. And again, I said it, Anthony Mackie's charming as usual. A lot of great action scenes. Yeah, there's an after credit scene that doesn't add anything. The multiverse is here. That we know Doomsday's coming and Secret Wars. So like him saying like, "Oh, don't forget the multiverse," was just kind of like, really?
Yeah. Although I guess I just thought about this. He and the president now are both in the raft. I didn't realize. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then of course we have Harrison Ford, Red Hulk. He didn't die, which does ruin our my theory of that's why they call him Thunderbolts in remembrance of him. He's a prisoner, which now makes more sense. That's why they say they can't call themselves that. So I am curious where the name's going to come from in that movie.
It makes me think he's going to be the surprise.
Yeah, probably.
He's going to be like the backup. He's going to come in and tear
that
shit
also
up.
Again destroyed our theory that Harrison Ford would die in the movie because he'd be a one and done.
No, but bravo, right? And like he did not phone this in.
No, he didn't.
I guess I really didn't touch upon that when I was talking about the good acting. Like, I know Anthony Mackie's the star, but if you would have told me that Harrison Ford is the star of this movie, I would absolutely agree with you.
I can't, Kassan. I can't. We maybe we'll talk about this.
We live in a crazy world, and the MCU makes a lot more sense.
We can talk about this on Discord. I can't. I can't, Kassan. I can't. I'm sorry.
I know.
So I'm just gonna say, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It is worth your time. It's a fun movie. It's a good popcorn flick. A lot of great acting, some good action scenes. Yeah, are there plot holes? But there's plot holes in every movie you watch. No movie is perfect. So go check it out. All right. Let us bring this one in for a landing. Tell me, Don, did you learn anything on the podcast this week, or do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I learned that I'm going to get some free shawarma soon, so I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? I'm pissed. Like, I like shawarma. There's a great place at Reading Terminal Market. I mean, it's not close. I had to travel downtown for it. But, cheese. Anyway, go ahead.
What am I going to recommend? I recommend, so there's a video on YouTube now. Bo DeMeo released what he originally just did on his OnlyFans that talks about all the shit that went down between him and Disney. It's actually a real big fucking eye opener, unless he's completely lying, and I don't think he is. So I recommend that. Outside of that, back to the funsy stuff. Marvel Rivals. I want to play with some people. Come on, Marvel. I play a tank. I got the Venom going, or we can do Magneto, Captain America. It's fun. It's super fun. Check it out.
All right. I learned that Kassan doesn't like me. He only likes Don, and I'm a little hurt by that. I'm going to cry myself to sleep after this.
Well, you got laid on Valentine's Day. I didn't. So who's the winner?
Me. Wow. I just learned that Don didn't get sex on guaranteed sex.
How's your Valentine's Day? And I'm like, meh. You think that means? Yeah. No, it's gonna be a little more meh.
I'm sorry,
Listen,
Valentine's Day.
listen,
is-
we can never
it's
listen.
supposed to-
Shark Week comes, Aunt Flo visits. I can't, it's not completely your fault.
No, I'm sorry. Valentine's Day is National Sex Day. Sorry.
National sex.
You learn to adapt. Wow. Recommendations. I don't have any. Well, okay. Let me start off with, if you've gotten this far in the podcast, thank you for watching this far. And if you haven't done so yet, click on that subscribe button and click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live here on Sunday nights. You don't miss any of our great comic book reviews. I did just put one up on Friday for an independent book from Titan Comics. Go check it out. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's not a great review, but go check out the review.
Yeah, and you sent me. We got some Comixology ones coming out, and I know I didn't do this. This week was crazy, and I wanted to do a Conan. I just didn't get to it. That Titan Comics sent me, but I know I want to get it done, and because it'll release. I mean, it's embargoed until Tuesday, so it won't come out till Tuesday. But
yeah, so check the review playlist here on the channel. Also, if you like what we're doing, come on, smash that like button. Really does help with the algorithm, gets our show out there even further. Comment on the video below too. That also helps with the algorithm, I learned recently. So please, comments are always appreciated. Tell us we're great. Tell us we stink. Whatever. We'll take it. We'll laugh. We'll cry. It's better than cats. And if you're so inclined, go check out our merch store. Link is in the description below. Buy yourself a Superhero Speak t-shirt. It'll drive the women crazy and make them sleep with you on Valentine's Day. That was Don's prom. He didn't have a t-shirt.
Right.
So maybe next year, Don. Who knows?
Didn't like the Colossus strip. I get it.
I don't currently have any recommendations at the moment, other than I don't know what we're talking about next week either. Like, we'll figure. Oh, we're gonna have. I think we might have a guest next week. I've got 2 people that want to come on, maybe 3, and I've got a couple friends that have Kickstarter showing.
All right.
So we will have someone. We will have a guest next week. I don't know who yet. You will know when I know. But
yes, Dave, watch. I know you're trying to end here, but A, I'm impressed that just me and you can chat for 2 hours. But B, you gotta watch it, Dave. I'm like, it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. You're gonna like it.
There's just so much I got to catch up on.
Dave, I'm telling you, okay. Listen, a lot of people find it hard to get motivated to do something big, right? And here's a secret of mine: just do the first step. Just watch the first episode. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, I gotta watch the second. Oh, I gotta watch the third." And then you might be single afterwards. I don't know. You get so sucked in after 3 seasons, but probably not. You're doing paintings and shit. Chicks like that artist shit.
Yes, they do. That's so. All right, boys and girls. Well, on that note, woo! Thought it was going to be a short one. It wasn't.
Not at all.
As always,
I dig it.
Thanks for watching. Don't let your cape caught in the door. See you next
3 hours next week.
Superhero speak.